got to be like 30 seconds. Oh.
Yeah, no. Hello and welcome to the game of sales and marketing, my weekly Facebook live show. And today I am so happy that I have with a superstar from US who is a entrepreneur, and she's just 30 years old, and her name is Melissa Krivachek. I hope I said it the right way. We have a common friend, and he told me that when he heard about my Facebook Live, I need to bring you like a guest. And when I saw your CV, I see that you're just 30 years old, and you have a big ambition that you're going to have a sales conference with 25,000 people this year, and I love it. I love people who are really ambitious. And also what's cool with Melissa is that she has been working with sales since she was 7 years old, and she loves sales like me. So welcome, and thank you that you could join me because I know you're quite busy. So I'm really happy that you could join. So thank you for that, Melissa.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you say that you started with sales when you was 7 years old. What did you start to sell?
Yes, so when I was 7, I had to go door-to-door sales because my parents could not afford a bike. So I sold pizza, I sold greeting cards, I sold whatever I could sell to the same 300 people because I grew up in a town of 300 in the middle of Iowa. And so I've become obsessed with sales ever since then, and it's become my way of life. Anything from retail sales to door knocking to cold calling to online to every kind of sale in between.
Yeah. So what is the most funny thing you have ever sold?
I remember selling 7 sets of patio furniture to this couple, and I was in retail at the time working for Walmart. And it was really interesting because they wanted it not only delivered but put together, and I was like, well, we can do that. And then my manager's like, we totally cannot do that. I was like, well, I will do that. Because at the end of the day, sales is all about the experience and all about the service. It's nothing to do with the amount of money that you put in the bank. The amount of money is conducive to the experience that you provide a individual or a group of individuals.
And when I ask you what should we call this live session, and you said go from cold contract to close contract. So can you tell me a little how you go from a cold contract to a close contract? Well, do you have any strategy on that?
Yeah. So it's cold contact, like you and I are, right? To a closed contract, money in the bank. So everyone wants to get into sales. And when they get into the sales, they actually realize that we don't know people the way we should know people. So we have to figure out, how do we personally connect and communicate with them? And so I asked you before this call, do you have a wife or kids? Because I wanted to know, like, what can we personally connect on? Whether it's sports, whether it's sales, whether it's family, whether it's values, all of those things are important. And so when you recognize that those things are important and you can personally connect with someone, it's no longer about pushing a product or a service. It's about serving them through integrity and through love. And they're going to know, like, and trust you. And ultimately, they're going to buy from you. And so it's really, really important that you find a connection piece between whoever you're talking to and yourself. Once you have that, you can then move on and give them, you know, an idea of what you're selling and why you're so obsessed and passionate about it. And I think it's pretty obvious that I'm super obsessed with sales. So I would never say, like, I'm a pushy salesman. I would say, like, I love sales and I'm happy to provide value. And once you establish all this rapport, then and only then are you able to close the contract and put money in the bank. But first, there's this period of time where you literally have to build the rapport, create the relationship, build solid communication, whether it's via email, via social media, or face-to-face, and then ask for whatever it is that you want to ask for. And most of the time, people forget to ask for money, and so it's important that you ask for money.
So why do you think people forget to ask for money?
Because they're scared of money. So here's the thing. A lot of people, whether they're in sales or not, actually have no concept of money. What is the international definition of money? Do you know?
No, I don't know if I had the right one, but there is a change something for a service or a product that you need, or there is a energy something. Yeah. So what is it? You maybe know it better than me, or what's the international is?
Okay, so that's actually what money does. It's not what money is. So those are two totally different questions. Okay, so what money is? Money is an idea backed by confidence. It's actually how money got started many years ago when America was built. So back in the day when there were 5 founders of America, money was a concept. It was just an idea. It got printed. And once it was printed, then it was backed by these 5 guys' level of confidence, and it became integrated into all of our lives. So it's really just an idea backed by confidence. Once we have an idea and we can back it by confidence, it's no longer about what we're selling. It's about what we're going to do with the money. Now, we have to understand money in order to even make the sale, right? So people forget that money is just an idea.
Yeah. And also, I just remember, because I started a sales course today, and one of the participants, he said like, I always give a discount to clients because I know I can give it, and I feel sorry for. Yeah, I'm not fair if I don't give them the discount. So how can he look in another way on this thing?
Yeah, I just went through this yesterday with a client. Absolutely no discounts, 0 discounts, because if you discount your value in the marketplace, you actually discount the value of your internal self-worth. So money and self-worth are really connected. They're interconnected. So if I discount my self-worth, that means that I personally am not going to drink enough water during the day. I'm not going to have good sleep habits. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to take care of myself and eat healthy. And I'm not going to live the best lifestyle that I can live. So therefore, when I get into business, I'm going to discount my services. I'm going to overpromise and underdeliver, and I'm going to wear myself out. And what's going to happen? My clients are not going to want to come back to me because I've overpromised and underdelivered. I've discounted my services, and I can't possibly sustain energy to do all the things that I promised because I can't feed my body and my mind properly. So we have to correlate the value of self-worth and the amount of money that we're asking for. And I always tell people, like, you want to work on your confidence and your self-value above everything else. It's not about the sale. It's about how much you believe you're worth, how much you're willing to ask for, and how much value you bring to the other person's life. Once you actually bring value to another person's life, it no longer becomes an ask, because you're such a resource for them that they want to have you in their life. You're such a resource for them that they want to do business with you. You're such a resource for them that they are willing to write a check in whatever amount that you ask. And typically in these situations, money is really never even discussed. It's like, hey, it's $15,000. It is what it is. Like, it's $15,000, and that's it. Like, there's not a back and forth negotiation discussion. There's no proposals. I tell people, like, don't even bother with the proposal part of it, because too many companies and too many people are writing proposals for highly unqualified buyers. Why would you write a quality proposal for an unqualified buyer? Doesn't make any sense. The qualified buyer does not want a proposal. He wants an agreement. Now, that being said, there's a difference between an agreement and a contract. Do not use the word contract, use the word agreement. Why? Because agreement is a commitment between you and I. It's an exchange of value and an exchange of money. If I use the word contract, especially in the United States, it means that it has to go through HR departments and legal departments. If I use the word agreement, we can bypass the entire system. You and I agree on this. Do we agree? Yes. Awesome. Sign, write the check. That's it. There's no legal. There's no HR.
Wow, that's a really good point. So I want to hear a little bit more about your story, because you're still young, 30 years old, and I also want to ask more questions about that, because you're bringing in all the sales guru to a conference, and you are going to have 25,000 people on that conference this year. So how did you start your own business? When did you start it, and what and why?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I started my business because I am extremely, extremely obsessed and passionate about helping people elevate their level of income, create quality relationships, and most importantly, change the legacy of their people's family trees. Why? Because my family tree was messed up. I mentioned, grew up in a town of 300 people. And so, I've maxed out 5 credit cards, been 50 grand in debt. I've had my car repossessed. I've been in and out of college. I've been to jail 6 days for speeding. Like, I have done all the things that you could possibly do to be a failure, and that's fine. But all of these things have led me to where I am today. So I would say, in order to succeed, you have to fail far more times than you actually win. Do I have wins? Yes, I have wins. So let's talk about some of those. I've been on the cover of Evolution magazine as their top power player under 40. I've been Inc. magazine's 30 under 30. I've written 10 books, 7 are international bestsellers. I have the conference, the Ultimate Sales Summit, where we expect 25,000 to come up to Dallas, August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of 2018. I've got my own television show. Like, I've been very, very blessed with accolades and awards, but I've also been blessed in the fact that I have more experiences. So what I would tell people is, if you're trying to make a decision on what to do today, do the thing that you don't have to hit your head on the pillow at night and say, I regret or I don't know. I regret and I don't know are 2 things that will keep you awake at night and keep you broke.
But okay, you have done a lot of things, but you need to be a doer. You're just 30 years old and you've done all these things. So how do you get time to write 7 books and bring in one of the biggest, 10 books? Yeah, 10 books. So how do you get time for it?
I just love what I do so much. Like, it's not a job for me. It's a passion. It's a skill set. It's an obsession. It is not a job. So people go to jobs every single day. And the fact of the matter is that they don't like those jobs. They're not obsessed with them, and they don't spend time doing what they value. So I want to take people through an exercise. And the exercise actually is really quite simple. For the next 7 days, literally write down every single thing that you are doing for 15 minutes. 7 straight days, every single thing that you are doing every 15 minutes, from going to the bathroom to taking your kids to the park, bedtime, sales calls, emails, whatever you're doing every 15 minutes for the next 7 days. This is what's going to happen. Over that period of 7 days, you're going to realize how unproductive you are actually being. And I've been able to get, 1,200 hours back for executives just by doing this exercise. So for all the people that say, oh, well, I need 29 hours in a day, you don't. You actually need systems and simplification. And these are the 2 things that have made me extremely successful. So number 1 is, when you figure out what you're unproductive at, you're actually going to draw 2 circles, and in the middle, they're going to overlap. On the right side is going to be all the things that you need to give to a personal assistant. Now, I have a live-in executive assistant. She literally does the laundry, the dishes, the cooking, the cleaning, gets the mail, goes shopping, does literally whatever I want her to do. Puts gas in the car, make sure like maintenance is done. If we need water softener, salt, whatever needs to be done, Michelle does. Okay, so the second thing is that you need a virtual assistant. And this is where I have Johan. Now, Johan does whatever online that I need done. Email campaigns, systems, Facebook and social media updates, like literally anything that I don't want to do online. Why? So I can stay right here in the middle. This is called the zone of genius. The zone of genius for me is making calls and making sales. I don't want to be doing these other tasks. So for whatever your zone of genius is, you're going to figure out how unproductive you're being and how outside of your zone of genius you are just by doing this simple exercise.
Okay. I think that's a really good point because, like me, I'm also an entrepreneur, and there is something I'm genius in, but there is a lot of things I still do because I like them. It's not like what I'm genius in, and I think that's one of the biggest problem with entrepreneurs around, because when you start a company, you have to do everything by yourself in the start, and after a while, you can do, like you said, file virtual assistants and all these things. And why do you find it when you do this exercise? How do I find it when I do this exercise?
How do you find the end result?
Yeah. What I'm genius in when I do this exercise.
So you're a genius in whatever you stay in. So for me, it's sales. For other people, it's marketing. For other people, it's investing. For other people, it's real estate. It really just varies. But wherever you spend the majority of your time, the easiest way to do this is to look at your current value system. Now, your current value system is pretty simple. Look around the room or look around your life, and you'll see where you spend the majority of your time and where you spend the majority of your money. And people can do this at home. If you look around the room that you're in right now, what do you see on the wall? Do you see pictures of family? Do you see pictures of traveling? Do you see pictures of faith of some kind? Whatever you put on the wall or put in your surroundings are the very things that you value. So people often say, I don't have time for the things that I value. Not true. You value things, and then you say you don't have time for the things that you value. So if you're playing video games, watching television, going out to eat on a regular basis, these are things that you've integrated as part of your belief and value system. In order to change the belief and value system, you have to change the way you think. You have to change the actions that you take and the behaviors associated with them, and you have to change your environment. Now, some would say you need to be in a rich neighborhood to do this. That's also not true. You don't actually need to be in a rich neighborhood to do this. If you look at Warren Buffett, a billionaire, he is in Omaha, Nebraska, in a very moderate house, in a not upper class neighborhood. Why does he thrive? Because it's here. It's here, right? So if you change the way you look at things, you change your behavior and belief systems, and you change the things that surround you environmentally, you're going to elevate. You're going to create a lifestyle and a mindset that's conducive to bringing you any result that you want to achieve.
And for those who are listening, you can ask Melissa or me some questions. So just bring them up, and I will ask them for you. So for when I hear you talking, it's so easy because you're just doing things, you're living, you're following this success recipe that everyone knows how to do it, but they don't do it. And one thing, when I talk with salespeople and other also entrepreneur, they are so afraid of rejection to a no or rejection for a sale. So how did you overcome this thing?
I think it's really hard. Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest parts, and I think that's, one thing that I definitely had sort of an issue with. It's really about how much belief do you have in yourself and how much confidence do you have in yourself. So I believe fully in myself and my capability, and I have full confidence in whatever I'm asking for. However, when you first get started, you have to work your way up and build levels of confidence. There are actually really easy and really difficult ways to do this. So the difficult way is you continue to just make calls or write emails or send letters and get rejected day in and day out, get doors slammed in your face, phones, hung up on you, all that kind of stuff. The other way is to integrate very simple, small things you can systematize to get you the results. These things include drinking water, working out, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, reading books, just doing very, very small, simplistic tasks that will move you forward throughout your day. And that'll push you further into your week, into your month, into your year. And what happens when you make these small changes, compounded over time, they create the results that you want. So if you want to lose weight, go into the gym 4 hours a day, it's not going to work. If you want to make a bunch of sales, making 400 calls is not going to work. Like, you don't want to do things in huge quantities and at a massive change. You want to do small things compounded over periods of time to get the results that you want.
And yeah, and I also think that's a good point, because a lot of entrepreneurs, or salespeople, they have a lot of sales, and it go a period, you get your productivity go down because you have so many sales, and after a while you have no sales, and then you start to do this rush again, and you get stressed and you get pushy. I remember it. I'm always talking like you, build a relationship first. But when I was running events before, because we were chatting a little bit before we started this, 2 weeks before the event, when I need to fill up the room, I get stressed. And when I get stressed, I forgot to build a relationship. Even if I know this, I know it's so by my soul, heart, and everything that I should do this. But again, because I was stressed, I forgot it, and I started to just call and try to close immediately. And of course, I didn't get more sales. So again, how do you remember to do all these things the right way every day? Because it's hard. It's easy to forget also.
Yeah, it's going to depend on your state of mind. So you got to be able to maintain a healthy mindset, and it's really actually challenging for a lot of people. You can program your mind different ways. So the first is by taking small daily action steps towards the goals that you want to achieve. The second way actually is just to run some different programming into your mind. So one thing that I did was, while I was sleeping, I would run 8 hours of YouTube programming in the background. So one of the things is I lost 136 pounds over 12 months. And it was because I put YouTube on in the background and ran subconscious programming to my mind while I slept. If you want to make more sales, you can sort of hypnotize your brain into making more sales by listening to certain things, audios and books, while you're sleeping. Just turn it at a low volume. Your brain will still comprehend everything. You don't need to, blast it all night long to annoy people. But these small little tweaks will move you closer to your goals. The other thing is that you have to get out of a state of worry and out of a state of fear. It's challenging because there's ups and downs, right? So getting out of a state of worry and getting out of a state of fear is knowing that you can achieve anything you want, and knowing that you can have anything you want, as long as you are targeting the right audience. So someone said to me this morning, what a lot of salespeople do basically is they write up sales agreements, they write up sales, copy, they write up websites, they write up all kinds of different marketing materials. And then they go to a city and they just litter the materials like everywhere. And it's not a targeted prospect. It's literally just litter. Like, no one's reading that. They're literally just throwing it in the trash can, or ignoring the email, or hitting delete, or doing whatever. But they're not engaging with you because you totally forgot that you need to pick very specific, measurable, attainable targets that are conducive to hearing your message, seeing your message, and relating to your message. So let me give you an example of this. If I'm a plumber, right, I can say, hey, I can come to your house and do a 52-point checklist. And when I'm done with that, I'll give you the 52-point checklist and you can walk through it yourself. Okay, well, you just throw that away, right? And then I send you the next piece of mail and it says, hey, I sent you a 52-point checklist. I'm sure that you didn't walk through it, but I would be happy to do it for you. It would only take 40 minutes. When's a good time for you? Again, you just throw it away. Finally, you get a third piece of mail that says, hey, has your house ever flooded? Have you ever heard a dripping faucet leak? Have you ever thought about doing the 52-point checklist that I sent you? You should probably think about that. I could do it later today. Call me, right? So now you're thinking about all the drips in your house. Do you have insurance if it floods? Like, all this worry got created because someone sent you a message and it started programming it up here. That's why you have to send yourself messages where you program yourself to get out of the worry, out of the fear, out of the laziness, out of the scarcity mindset. And it's very simple. I mean, I think that YouTube is a great, great, great resource to do that. And I've like I've played hypnosis videos on sales. I've played hypnosis videos on, weight loss. I've done it for meditation. Just these tiny little tweaks will make all of the difference to get out of that scarcity mindset, that worry, and that fear.
Okay, we have a question there. Guneva asks, is patience, is the key patience over time?
Yes, but everybody doesn't have patience. Like I don't have patience, right? So I don't know if it's so much patience as it is being able to measure everything throughout the day. So like I just make 6 different things that I'm going to do during the day. Can I make a few key sales calls to highly qualified prospective buyers? Can I drink water? Can I get enough rest? Can I work out? Can I pray? Can I meditate? And finally, can I take time for me? No, I know with kids and a husband or, kids and a wife, it's challenging to take time for yourself. But doing these things will make you a better person. So if you can measure 6 or 7 things that you can do throughout a day, like those things, you're actually going to push yourself forward unknowingly. And you'll get the results triple, quadruple, 10 times your business just because you know what your zone of genius is and you're able to stay inside of that and grow and push yourself upward.
And you're a person who are really a visionary. You have big goals, big dreams. You're like a sales conference again on 25,000 people. So what's the key to change the mindset to think bigger and bigger and bigger? Because I think also that's a big issue for everyone. They think, oh, I'm not good enough. Well, I cannot do it. Everyone else can do it. So how do you do that to think bigger and bigger for yourself?
Start small. I know, that's the opposite of what you thought I was going to say, but you got to start small. This took me 10 years and 23 years of obsession to do. It's not like I woke up and was like, oh, I think I'm going to have a successful conference today. It doesn't work like that. It took 23 years of very dedicated work to the career of sales. It took 10 years in business to say, I have enough relationships. I have enough trust in the market. I have enough rapport to be able to do this properly. And so you have to gauge when the time is right for you to achieve certain targets. There's never been a time that's right for this than there is right now. So there were times in my life where I would write books, right? Because that was what I was called to do then. And I've been able to write 10 books. But you have to pay attention to what you're called to do today. That's going to be able to accelerate and create bigger dreams for you tomorrow. So if you had asked me in October if I was going to do this conference, the answer would have been no. Ask me in November, and the time was right.
So why did you choose to do this conference, and how did you get the idea?
Meditation, like normal. I spend 20 minutes meditating every day. And so meditation is like literally when my best ideas come to me. And I was meditating and I'm like, hey, I have this idea. And my CEO is like, are you nuts? And I was like, no, right now we're going to do it. And so I just I have Rolodexes of people. So in 2 weeks, I called 300 people. And it was on from there. And so it's really important for you to position and time yourself. Tesla Automotive is a great example of this. They timed their releases of certain Tesla products when the market was ready to buy. So there's been conferences and masterminds and courses of all kinds throughout history. Never has there been a sales conference. And the reason is because people hate to talk about sales. They shun it. They don't like it. And they think it's negative. So for me, it's all about bringing 19 of the world's best speakers together that have made millions of dollars, have spoken for decades on stage, and have impacted thousands upon hundreds of thousands of people. And so having that collective audience and having that collective thought to process all of these things is really, really important. Now, you want to surround yourself with the right people. You want to build the right relationships, and you certainly want to do things in a very systematic and timely fashion. And in business, that's what it's all about.
So what is the right people?
It depends on what project that you're working on. So if you're writing a book, obviously the right people would be the editor, the cover designer, and then the publishing company. If you are working out, you obviously want a trainer, a nutritionist, and a support system of friends and family in place. If you're working on sales, you want a sales team, you want a sales trainer, and you want someone to answer to you about the numbers and the impact on a daily basis. So you have to put and build teams in place to attain certain levels of success. Now, we have, a lot of employees, and we have offices in several different countries. And so all of us work online. We don't have a physical location that we work, but we do communicate via two tools every single day. The first is Voxer. Voxer is a great tool for walkie-talking all things from every country. And then we use Trello, Trello is an app where you can put in all of the tasks that you need to accomplish throughout the day, and people can update the task list as the day happens. So everyone knows on a minute-to-minute basis what's happening within the company, and they can adjust accordingly.
So you have done so many sales, and I love to hear sales stories. So do you have a sales story, a client you closed or something you're really proud of, or that you didn't think should go the way it should, and then you just made it?
Yeah, I totally do. So this is my favorite story ever. So I'm in a boardroom. There's, I think, 8 executives, and there's 12 guys and me. And so I asked the executive director, I said, are we able to make a decision today? And the guy's like, I don't know. Generally, this is a 6-month process. I was like, great, I'm going to help you make a decision today. And they're like, okay. So these sales guys, all of them are guys except me, brought all kinds of sales training material. They brought PDFs and PowerPoints, whiteboards, chalkboards, any kind of sales material that you could think of. I did not do any of those things. I showed up in a red dress, and that was it. Like, that was my power play, to show up in a red dress. And this is what I said. I said, I'm going to help you make a decision today. Are you prepared to do that? Everybody said yes. Cool. So we're already there. So then I said, you need me because I'm a female, and men are not intimidated by me, and women can personally connect with me. Do we have a deal? They're not going to say no to that. So I closed the deal instantly, $2 million a year. It was a great, great deal. All of the men's jaws dropped to the floor, and they were like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, in sales, you don't need all this shiny objects and material to get to a decision. You need a very succinct, clear ask with a question to get the check. Do we have a deal? Was the question that got them to say yes. So you have to think about how you're setting up the sales proposition for them to get to a yes.
And also, I'm curious about because I've been working with events. How do you promote this big conference, and how do you sell tickets to it? What's your system behind it? Or
Yep. So there's 2 ways. There's media, and then there's social media. So I'm a huge advocate of being on media. As you can tell, I've done over 300 appearances. So I love doing these kind of things. But I can't dedicate my entire day to doing those kind of things. So on the other side, we have very targeted, clear objectives and systems in place. Infusionsoft, YouTube, retargeting campaigns, Facebook ads, like all of these things, joint venture and affiliate relationships, all of these things build out. And I would say some of the speakers, many people have heard of. And so have they ever not filled a room? And the answer is no. Have they been doing this for decades? And the answer is yes. So you can combine the decades of experience, the millions of dollars in revenue, and the years of running a sales organization with the power of media and social media.
Good answer. And you said you have been doing business for 10 years. So what did you start with for 10 years ago? What was your first sale, or did you sell yourself, or what kind of business did you do for 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I started this thing called Briella Arion. If you Google it, you'll find it. But people got confused once I started writing books. So they're like, who's Briella Arion? I'm like, nobody, but that's the name of my company, right? So I named my company the name of a child. That's a terrible idea. Don't ever do it. But I actually, my very, very first sale ever was through Facebook Messenger. And it's actually how Claude and I met, and that's how we got connected. And so I basically said, like, buy one, get one free coaching session. Do I recommend that? No, because I just told you not to do anything free or discount your services. However, 10 years ago, I wasn't in the mindset that I am today. So when you're getting started, you pretty much do anything to put money in the bank. I learned a lot of the things that I learned from YouTube, from people like Grant Cardone and Darren Hardy, Les Brown, and E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, T.D. Jakes, like a ton of really, really amazing speakers and amazing leaders. That being said, I actually took everything that I learned and I took it over to Facebook because I was in such a broke state of not only mine, but my bank account was broke, that the only thing that I could possibly do was ask somebody on Facebook, hey, like, do you want a coaching session? I'll give it to you, buy one, get one free. And I remember the first $100 I made. Really, it was $50 an hour, but, it was $100 to me. That was more than I'd ever made before. And so for the first 2 years, I think I made $23,000, which was like nothing. Like, you can't even live off of that, right? But I gained all this experience in the interim. And the experience has allowed me to stay in integrity, to deliver what I say I'm going to deliver, and to not work with those not committed and those that are not capable of paying what I'm really worth. Am I worth $100 an hour today or $50 an hour? Not even close. Not even close. But what I can say is, as you continue to grow and develop and brand yourself a little bit differently, you become more valuable. You have deeper level of relationships because they're built over long periods of time, and that's what you always want to strive for. And you get to ask for a higher number because that's the value that you bring to the other person or the other party or the other business.
Good. And I'm asking again if there is someone who are listening that have any questions. So write them in the chat box, and I will ask Melissa about it. So how you say when you start, a lot of entrepreneurs have problem with taking paid what they really should take paid because it's again a confidence thing. And you also say that you will not do what you did when you started if you give advices now. And I also see a lot of entrepreneurs, they have this problem that everything needs to be perfect before you start to sell. What is your opinion on that?
Forget about perfection. It just doesn't exist. Just be yourself. So this is what I would give. This is a piece of advice I would give to any female. And I guess I would give it to males, but I'm not specifically talking about sales right now. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to use this example after I give the example. So in the world of relationships, I would tell the girl, get the guy naked as fast as humanly possible. And the girl would say, why? And I would say, you want to get the guy naked as quickly as humanly possible because his suit allows him to carry a power. Every guy that wears a suit has confidence and carries power. Once he removes the clothing, he doesn't have that confidence or power. He goes back to his normal state of being, right? So you want to get people to a normal state of being. And you want to know how much confidence they have without all this excessive stuff. So people do makeup, they do their hair, and they wear certain clothes to put them into a power position. You don't want to see that power position. You want to see who they truly are, what values they truly have, what they really believe. And the way to do that is to strip back all of the excessive stuff that people tell you. The pictures of Lamborghinis and Bugattis, the pictures of, jets and mansions and lakes and all kinds of yachts and whatever that's happening on social media right now is really just a facade. It's a facade for people to say, I'm successful. Success does not look like that. Success looks like confidence. It looks like someone that can walk in the room and demand and command attention without even opening their mouth. It looks like someone who can achieve things without having to walk out into the marketplace and say, I'm fucking awesome. They don't do that, right? Success does not dress up, but it does leave clues. So you just have to be careful because there's a fine line. And I'll give you an example of this. I read a book once, and it was about a billionaire. The billionaire takes this college kid that just graduated because his grandma gave him this package to go spend a day with the billionaire because she was his nanny growing up. She was the billionaire's nanny when the billionaire was growing up. And so that was her gift to her grandson. And her grandson goes out with the billionaire for a day, and the billionaire is going to buy a $500 million company. So he goes and gets on the private jet, goes and evaluates the company. The CEO is running late, and the CFO is in the meeting. The secretary walks in and says, hey, so-and-so just called and said they didn't receive their package yet. The CFO says, go ahead and overnight them and tell them it's on its way. It'll arrive tomorrow morning. Billionaire leaves and asks the kid, how's the financials look? Kid says, the financials look great. You should purchase the company. The billionaire says, I would never purchase that company. Did you see the way the CFO acted? Kid says, yeah. Obviously he told the secretary to overnight the package. And he goes, that's out of integrity. If the package is being overnighted because he failed to deliver on a promise, we have no idea how correct or incorrect these numbers actually are. He lied about something so small and minute that he could lie about every single thing that we see in the finances. Therefore, if you're out of integrity by just the smallest amount, it's an absolute deal breaker to do a deal with you. And therefore, the billionaire let the purchase of the company go.
That's a good point. I like that. What I'm curious about, you said you had over 200 media appearances. What's your secrets to get media appearance? How do you do it?
People like you come and ask me to do it. So I love just providing value and sharing stories and being able to really add value to somebody's life. And in doing so, it always comes back tenfold. So obviously I added enough of value to Claude's life for him to say, Petter, you should invite Melissa to be on your show. I've been doing this for 10 years. And so over the 10 years, I've obviously evolved, but it's never about me. It's about the audience. It's about the producer. It's about the show in and of itself. So you notice pre-show, I asked you a bunch of questions. Who's the audience? What are they trying to achieve? And what message do you want delivered? Why did I ask you those questions? Because at the end of the day, me making this appearance isn't about me. It's actually about all the people that are watching, all the people that are looking for results, and all the people that want to make their lives and lifestyles better. If I can help them achieve those things, then I've accomplished my mission, whether I'm paid for it or not.
Good point. I see Paul has a question for you. When you do international business, do everyone contact you directly to you, or you do have some kinds of national contact person?
Yeah, I actually just use social media to connect with people internationally. So I've been very blessed to just basically open up conversations like this. I don't have a publicist. I don't do anything like that. I simply just reach out. Petter asked me the other day if I could do this. I said, yeah. I knew nothing about him. Nothing. We weren't even connected on social media. Claude, I actually heard his name mentioned on a Success CD with Darren Hardy, so I reached out to him. I use social as a way to, specifically Facebook, as a way to connect with very high level players. And we can do video calls just like this and connect and relate and build rapport. And that's it. And it's really funny because yesterday, actually, I've built this relationship with this guy in Australia for 4 years, and we've done a lot of business together. And now we're actually partners in a business. But I realized after 4 years, we never once, not once, did we ever video chat. So yesterday was like actually the first time we met face to face, and we've been working together for 4 years. I'm like, I don't even know how did that happen. But it's that level of trust, that level of being able to say, I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, when I said I'm going to do it, and I'm going to deliver exactly what I said I'm going to deliver. And that's the kind of integrity people will flock to.
And I also ask everyone who are on this show, what's your biggest mistake you have done like an entrepreneur?
My biggest mistake was last year in 2017, and I gave up everything. I gave up houses, cars, and all of my belongings. I condensed it into a backpack, and I moved to India.
Wow.
In case anyone knows, the difference between luxury and poverty is extreme. The difference between the United States and India is extreme. The difference between lifestyles, religions, and food and culture and all of that is very, very extreme. Do I regret it? The answer is no. Would I do it again? The answer is no. I learned a whole lot of valuable lessons. I had my worst year in business, but I learned the most lessons. So that's sort of what drove me to say, like, yeah, I want to do a sales conference because I lost, a lot of things last year. And a lot of people will say, don't use the word lost, Melissa. Well, so when I left for India, I was actually married. When I came back, I wasn't. So I went from a husband and 2 kids and all that kind of stuff to nothing, like no house, no car, no kids, no husband. It's a lot, right? And in India, and I know people are watching this internationally, like the level of contribution that one gives there versus here is completely different. So where I was located in Hyderabad, there was no internet. And the time zones are so dramatically different that so is the temperature. So it was like 120 degrees there. And I was like, literally, I was dying of heat exhaustion because I'm from Minnesota. There's snow here. It's like freezing cold here. So when you get into environments and everyone knows where they're comfortable, but when you get into environments where you cannot perform and contribute, it actually kills you inside. And so you have to be very, very careful of where you put yourself and what that's doing to your mind, because it took me a while to get out of that poverty mindset after I'd put myself in that unknowingly.
So why did you do it, or how did the idea come that you want to move to India?
Well, I didn't want to move to India. The fact is I married someone and we got married here in the States. And then they actually were originally from India. And so they were like, hey, let's go back. So, I mean, when you're married, you make decisions as a couple. And so if that was important to him, I can work from anywhere because my business is very like that. I had no idea what I was getting into. But that's why I'd mentioned earlier in this interview, like, don't go to bed at night and put your head to the pillow with the idea of regretting something or not knowing. Because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't know the outcome. If I hadn't done that, I would have regret, and I would have to live with that regret for the rest of my life. I don't want regret, and I don't want to not know. So I'm willing to take the risk, be it in business or my personal life, and you should too, so that you can see whether or not you would have regret or whether or not you would know or not know the outcome of whatever experience you get into. You know, for people that are dying their biggest regret is not living. I don't ever want to have that regret. I don't want to lay down and die knowing that I didn't live. I want to live so fully that I have zero regrets.
I love it. I love what you say. And what's your biggest dream? Like, or what are you drive now? What's your next goal?
Yeah, like I want to change the legacy of people's family trees. I had to change mine, so I want to change other people's. And it's done through sales. It's done through entrepreneurship. It's done through business. It is absolutely amazing that we have the tools and the resources and the people available today. There are 7 billion people in the world. So if you can change just one life a day, if you can just get one thank you a day, if you know that you just made one impact today, that would change your mindset and that would change your life. So yesterday I had someone call and they were like crying for an hour that I had changed their life. And that was amazing, but that wasn't the most impactful part of my day. I actually went out to pizza last night and it's like my favorite pizza joint ever. So I'm getting the pizza and it's in the Mall of America, which is the largest mall in the United States. And so as I'm getting the pizza, I noticed this guy walk by the Chinese thing and take like a sample, right? Because they're handing out free samples of Chinese food. And I'm like, that guy is homeless and he's hungry. And I knew that because that sample of food was going to be his meal. So I grab my pizza, I run after the guy and I'm like, excuse me, are you homeless? And he's like, kind of. And I'm like, are you hungry? And he's like, yes. I'm like, why don't you pick any restaurant you want and I'll pay for the food. Now, I'm not telling you this story to brag that I helped a homeless guy, right? I'm telling you this story because if someone is hungry, you find the way to feed them. If someone is starving for knowledge, you find the way to give them knowledge. That's YouTube. If someone is starving for sales training, you find the way to give them sales training. That's this. If someone needs something, you figure it out. I needed certain things when I started out. I was given those certain things. People need this when they're starting out. I'm happy to give those things. That's what life is about. It's not about how much money you put in the bank, how many awards or accolades you've won, how many books you've written. All of that is irrelevant. What's irrelevant is making an impact and changing someone's life with just one small act of kindness.
So what's your biggest what's your best advice you can give to the listener today? Like what you will give salespeople and entrepreneurs that will really help them?
Ask for the money. Like, don't go through the entire conversation and get to the end and forget to ask for the money. Ask for the money. People will give you money, right? And that's the thing that makes businesses thrive. So don't ever be ashamed of accumulating wealth. I remember like several years ago, I bought my first BMW. And it was a big deal because I drove it to my parents' house. And when I got to my parents' house, like I felt out of place because I was the only person that could afford a BMW. And the BMW was paid for, by the way. And so I didn't finance it. Most people that in the town that I grew up in finance their vehicles. So I arrive in town with BMW and I feel so ashamed that I'm able to afford this car. I returned the car. You do not have to feel ashamed to have money. You do not have to feel unworthy of having money. You do not have to feel afraid to ask for money. These 3 things will keep you where you are. They'll keep you stuck and in fear and in isolation and in worry. Find confidence, ask for money, and go buy the things that you deserve with it so that you can continue to impact and influence other people.
And my last question is like, where can the listener find you? How can they find about your conference and out more about you? Do you have a webpage or? And the webpage is
theultimatesalessummit.com or melissakrivachek.com. So MELISSAKRIVACHEK.com or theultimatesalessummit.com. salessummit.com. You can also Google me.
Cool. No, I lost you. Or do you hear me?
No. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was just hang up. And I will also put a link in the chat box so people can find you there. And it's so inspiring to listen to you, Melissa. You're really, I love that you're so young and you have done so many things and like 10 books and all the other things you're doing. It's so cool, and you're really an inspiration. So thank you for joining this Facebook Live, and thank you. I know you're also quite busy, so that you took time for it. I really appreciate it, and I also think people in Norway like it. And if you like this broadcast, please share it with friends and give us some hearts and likes before we end it. So and thank you again, Melissa, for joining.
Yes, thank you so much, Petter, for having me.
Okay, thank you, and goodbye.